Our top story tonight, Tropical Storm Elsa is threatening Florida and is expected to make final landfall in the next 24 hours. And Mother Nature is now playing a huge role in preventing search and rescue efforts in Surfside, Florida, where, as you recall, a condo building collapsed more than a week ago. 117 people are still missing. The death toll, though, has now climbed to 32 people. Well, to weigh in on the rescue efforts and how this hurricane may affect it all, let's bring in Florida Congresswoman Cammack. Kat, Congresswoman, good to see you again.
Hey, Sean, good to see you. Happy 4th to you and Mercedes. Hello.
Happy 4th to you. Listen, this storm, Elsa, which I think they're now saying is about to become a hurricane, is expected to make big landfall in the next 24 hours. How detrimental is this going to be to the search and rescue process down there in Surfside? And what measures is everyone in Florida beyond that area taking to keep themselves safe?
Well, you're 100% right, Sean. It is about to be upgraded to a Category 1. You know, as the ranking member for Emergency Preparedness, Response, and Recovery, really the oversight body for FEMA nationally, I've been in touch with not only the National Hurricane Center, but our state and local partners. And, you know, just on Saturday, I myself was down there at Surfside overseeing some of the federal efforts. And I got to say something that I never thought I would say. I can't think of anything more that could be done down at Surfside right now. It is truly an orchestra of local, state, and federal officials, volunteers from all over the country who have come to help with the search and rescue efforts. It has been really incredible to see so many people and entities coming together.
Can I just ask you, though, like, you and every member of Congress in Florida represent areas where there's a lot of high rises, especially along the coast. How concerned are you that this isn't an isolated incident, considering the position that you have on that committee?
You know, and we saw leading up to this that there had been signs, there had been reports, there had been a lot of concern from residents and inspectors in the area that those went unheeded. Now, we'll leave it to the trial attorneys, which will inevitably follow this tragic incident. Right now, I think everybody should be focused on the search and rescue efforts. But, you know, I was talking with a group of builders and contractors in my area today, and they said, we want to make sure that every building and every structure is structurally sound. However, what we find in the face of tragedy is that the pendulum swings so violently the other direction. They're fearful that there's going to be a massive overregulation of the environment locally, statewide, and possibly federally because in a response to this tragedy. But for right now, I think we need to focus on finding more survivors, finding more of the folks that we are losing in that tragic incident there in Surfside right now.
Well, our prayers are with the families. It's such a difficult time for that community. But shifting gears here, Congresswoman, last Friday, Russian-linked hackers took down the IT systems of up to 1 million companies worldwide and publicly demanded $50 million in Bitcoin to fix it. Here's what the Biden administration said about it today.
I can tell you a couple things. I received an update from our national security team this morning. It appears to have caused minimal damage to U.S. businesses, but we're still gathering information to the full extent of the attack, and I'm going to have more to say about this in the next several days. We're getting more detail and information.
In terms of what actions we may or may not take, I'll allow the national security team to work that through.
Congresswoman, it doesn't sound like a very strong response coming from the Biden administration. You are on the House Homeland Security Committee. How should the Biden administration respond?
You know, I earlier today, I had seen where the president was trying to talk tough and vow that he would take action if Putin wouldn't. Watching Biden try to talk tough is something of comical value. I mean, I just cringe. It's so terrible that the commander-in-chief can't muster enough intestinal fortitude together to actually stand up for America and American industry. I mean, we have zero deterrence under this administration. Everything is a movable red line with this guy. And so really what we're seeing is the third term of Obama, because as we know, Obama was famous for his movable, erasable red lines. So you can expect pretty much more of the same under this administration. But listen, we're dealing with cyber attacks on critical infrastructure and supply chains. This is something that we saw coming. And so we on the Homeland Security Committee are actually very serious about this, because this not only impacts our supply chains and our everyday life, but this is our national security at stake. And if we have zero to deter, and then of course the follow-up is there are zero consequences, what the heck are we doing here? It's a free-for-all. And this administration is inviting people to conduct attacks on the daily against us. So we have to put pressure on this administration. This nonsense about maybe we'll talk tough or maybe we may do something, we may not, that's ridiculous. We need to get serious about fortifying our grid, our critical infrastructure, and really work with our intelligence partners, CISA, FBI, and all our intelligence agencies to really identify the gaps and go after them, not as Republican versus Democrat, but Americans, because at the end of the day, this is an American issue, and we as Americans need to fight back.
You know, Mercy and I are going to talk about this in just a minute. There's a new poll out regarding who Americans think is, quote, in charge right now. When someone on the Homeland Security Committee, looks at the President of the United States, once again, look down at the notes to figure out what to say with regard to a major hack. It's like, hold on, let me tell you. I mean, does that worry you as a member of Congress that's on the committee that secures us? I mean, it just, every time there's an issue, you would think that the President of the United States would say, you know what, I know what I believe, I know how I'm going to respond. Instead, he's going, all right, which card is it? Does that worry you?
Exactly. Absolutely. It should worry every single American. It should worry our allies around the world. We have a man who has to have note cards that say Trump is bad. Make sure you talk bad about former president. Blame everything on him. This man has to have cue cards to answer any basic softball question. And when a man loses his cue cards, he gets adversarial with the reporters. He can't handle anything out of left field. This is telling our adversaries around the world that it's fair game on the United States for the next 3 years. And I can tell you right now, me and my colleagues, we're focused on taking the House back and then the White House back, because we can't survive a second term of the Biden administration. We just simply can't. America deserves better. Let
me go down this security theme for one more second, if I may. The U.S. just left Bagram airfield in Afghanistan. We touched on this last week. We've been there 20 years. Yeah. You can discuss the troop withdrawal is one thing, but giving up this base strategically in the manner in which we did we do it in the wrong way, or are we going to regret it?
Oh, absolutely. We did it in the wrong way. There's been nothing about the withdrawal from Afghanistan that has gone to plan or has been a shining example of military strategy. The first thing that we're taught at the Naval War College is war termination and having an exit strategy that protects property and life and really doesn't leave a situation where nature abhors a vacuum where terrorists can come back in. But the Biden administration has done this wrong from the word go. Not only do we have 18,000 translators that have been left behind that the State Department can't process fast enough, which is going to send a message in the future that if anyone in country ever helps us again, they'll get left behind, which is a terrible, terrible thing for us to be doing. But we also have said, we're just going to kind of up and leave and nilly-willy just let the chips fall where they may. Well, the chips are falling right in the Taliban's lap, and there will be a major, major overtaking of Afghanistan. We're going to see some terrible things happening in the next few months, and it's because of this administration's failure to execute a proper military strategy. They were more concerned with the politics than the policy, and they're putting people's lives at risk as a result.
Yeah, I just want to add, Sean, real quick, Congresswoman as well, one point here also is that China is secretly meeting with the Taliban in Afghanistan. So that makes it very complicated as we move forward in figuring out what the Biden policy is going to be with Afghanistan.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we know that Russia and China would love nothing more than for us to fall flat on our face. And they are really doing everything they can, not just in Afghanistan, but around the world to undermine the United States and our allies. If you saw recently, this is trivial, but meaningful at the same time. There's an F1 game and there's a map of China. It includes Taiwan as part of China. They propose giving Honduras vaccines, but only if Honduras would renounce their calling of Taiwan an independent sovereign nation. They're doing predatory loan practices all across the globe, and they are a problem. But this administration is tied in too deep, business-wise, through Hunter Biden's various adventures and exploits, to wake up and say, listen, we have a problem with China and it's time to get tough on them. Instead, we're just rolling out the red carpet. So all the more reason why we've got to take the House back, all the more reason why we've got to get serious about seeing our country succeed and be safe and secure and putting America first.
Look, I think this is important to tell our viewers. If you are not, you should be DVRing what the Congresswoman just said, because play it back in a year from now and you're going to go, she was right and we should have listened to her then. Congresswoman, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts because you're spot on every one of these issues. And as Mercy said at the top, our hearts and prayers go out to all of the folks down in Surfside, and not only looking through that, but as Elsa bears down on with you, we hope that you all fare well.
Thank you so much, guys. Say your prayers for Florida. We appreciate you.
You bet.